Oh, what's happening, fuckers? The spooky month has come round once again, so I'm bunkered down in my home to protect myself from the tiny demons, zombies, and pop culture figures roaming the streets at night. It's a truly terrifying time of year. 1 second. But do you know what's scarier? The decline in quality of The Simpsons in the last 20 years. Now that's spooky shit. In order to see how steep the decline has been, let's take a look at Simpsons Hit Run, and see if it still holds up 20 years later. Yes, the game is 20 years old, and you're fucking old. So, let's get into it, shall we? Simpsons Hit Run is a sandbox-style action title, vehicular manslaughter simulator, and Matt Groening-approved domestic violence experience. In this game based on an American knockoff of the classic Georgian animated series, The Samson Adzes, you play as various members of the Simpsons family, and Apu for some reason, as weird events start occurring in Springfield. You are tasked with attempting to unravel a grand conspiracy, involving mysterious black vans, floating spy cameras disguised as giant wasps, and the release of a new cola somehow more dubious than most TikTok-endorsed products.
I'm endorsing a new cola, kids. This one isn't poisonous to anybody
that we know of.
Much like other Simpsons games from the period, Hit and Run draws heavy influence from popular games of the time, specifically the Grand Theft Auto series, while showing just enough restraint so as to not give Homer a fucking gun. Instead, Hit and Run emphasizes the driving aspects of these titles, offering standard races, time trials, and Ashcombe-style destruction-type missions amongst others. Occasionally missions take place on foot, whether this be to destroy generators in the nuclear power plant, or to collect so many monkeys that you give yourself fucking brain rot.
Bart, snap out of it!
Chimps got out and tore this guy apart because of a birthday cake.
It should be no surprise that Hit and Run's greatest strength is its driving. The cars feel really responsive, striking a fine balance between speed and weight, in a way that makes the game's many stunt ramps and destructible objects fun to interact with. There is solid variety across the game's 40+ available vehicles, each with pros and cons. These range from the faster cars like the hovercraft or speed rocket, which are fun to fling round the winding roads of each level, to the sluggish yet powerful tanks such as the Cloaking, which are really satisfying to use in a demolition mission. What's also impressive about Hit and Run is the level design. Each location is absolutely dense in terms of content, both side missions and collectibles. Whether it be collectible cards hidden throughout the level, which unlock a hidden itchy and scratchy cartoon when all are collected, the numerous gags and references hidden throughout the various levels, or the bonus missions and street races that unlock new vehicles, Hit and Run has enough content to keep you engaged. Even the minor things feel well polished. There is something immensely satisfying about drop-kicking those wasp cameras. That's not to say Hit and Run doesn't have its issues. I complimented the game on how dense each level is, but its biggest drawback is how few unique maps the game has. Hit and Run only offers 3 distinct maps across its 7 levels, with only minor differences between each. For example, for those of you desperate to see Bart Simpson's bedroom, firstly please take a seat right over here, I've got to make a call real quick, and secondly, it's only accessible on later versions of the Evergreen Terrace map. While not a disastrous 0 out of 10 on IGN type issue, it is somewhat disappointing. Beyond that, any problems I have with the game are incredibly minor, or based on the things that made me irrationally angry. The game can feel somewhat repetitive at times, due to the limited variety of available mission types, often falling back on telling you to drive across the map under a really tight time limit, as if the character is about to shit themselves if you don't get to the Krusty Burger in 40 seconds. As the game goes on, these go beyond being enjoyably challenging, and just start being complete bullshit. And it has made me quite upset a couple of times.
Gotta go.
Graphically, Simpsons Hit and Run holds up quite well, as much as something like this can do anyway. Sure, the cutscenes look like the stuff of childhood nightmares, but beyond that, it looks pretty good. It's definitely not the worst interpretation of 2D character to 3D that I've ever seen. The game's various environments look great, like Evergreen Terrace, or downtown Springfield. It does a good job capturing the vibrant colors and stylings of the source material. The character models can be a bit of a mixed bag however. Poor old Lenny here looks like he wouldn't mind being hit by a car. An area where Hit and Run departs from its inspiration, Grand Theft Auto, is in the lack of in-game radio stations. And let me tell you, it goes fucking hard. Each level's soundtrack draws influence from a different musical style, depending on the playable character. Whether it is the jazz influence of the Lisa level, or the obvious Bollywood stylings of Apu's, Hit and Run does a great job balancing these various styles, creating a soundtrack that is as consistent as it is impressive, and one that may be a contender for the best soundtrack of the 6th generation of gaming. Overall, Simpsons Hit and Run is an absolute classic title, and one that I can recommend, even with its faults. It works both as an enjoyable gameplay experience, and as a love letter to the golden age of The Simpsons, and has aged really well all things considered. Anyway, I'll be going now. I think I've just spotted a dead Rolf Harris across the street. Not sure if it's really him or a guy in costume, but in a second, I'm not sure it's going to matter.